morning, dear students. That is our second session, as you know. And today we are going to work on grammar. We're going to start grammar. Yesterday, we started talking about the setting and about the character. And it was an interesting session. I liked it. Today, we're going to work on grammar and how to use sentences wisely and how to use sentences in a complex manner. A complex sentence will help you to make your piece of writing more interesting. Many of you, while you explained and you gave me the setting yesterday, I keep telling you that you are using simple sentences. That was good, but on the other side, it wasn't that interesting. It was that boring. Today, we're going to start using the complex one to make sure that we are all on the same level and on the same track of education together. The matter that when I ask you to make a piece of writing, you will all be writing perfectly. From this moment, I would appreciate that you have your copybook. In the middle of the copybook, you will write the title, Complex Sentences, and write today's date, and write second session or second online session. Okay, so again, I'm gonna write my request again to you, or I'm gonna say them. You will write in the middle of the page, get a copybook, in the middle of the page, write complex sentences, write today's date, which is the 30th of March, and write second online session. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, so you start it. If you finish writing, send me a chat message that you did. Now, I guess all of you have this screen in front of you.
Yeah, we do.
Please mute yourself. Don't unmute. Great. Most of you, I have them send me the message that they did. That is awesome. Nice. Okay, here we go. Well, I'm in the presentation. I will be asking you to answer some questions. So make sure you are following 100%. Complex sentences. Complex sentences. Before we talk about the types of the sentence in English, you need to understand what are the terms of a phrase, a clause, independent and dependent clause, and what is a sentence. So nearly you have 5 things that we are requested to understand before we go ahead and understand our lesson of a complex sentence. So I would appreciate in the page you have written the title in the middle, make sure you write the 5 questions that you see here on the presentation. What is a phrase? What is a clause? Independent, dependent, and what is a sentence? Write them gradually under each other and leave like a 4 lines space between each sentence. Again, I'm going to give you a matter of 30 seconds to write the 5 questions. That is simple and that is easy. Start, please, writing the questions. Malika and Adam Hatem, welcome. The exercise we are doing now is we are having a copybook, and in your copybook, you are writing the following 5 questions in the presentation here, and leave between each question a gap of 4 lines. Write today's date and write the title complex sentence. I'm going to stop the video for a while. Okay. Hopefully you are done. I'm waiting for your messages.
Mister, you are going to write it all, right?
Who's speaking?
Malik.
Okay, Malika, you are going to write the 5 questions in the copybook and leave between every question a gap of 3 to 4 lines. From this moment, if you need to ask a question, unmute yourself and then mute it. If you want to ask any question, unmute. Okay? But usually the trend that you will keep all muted. Make sure that you are all muted, and then you can unmute in case you want to ask a question. Now we are going to start. Complete. So let's start with the second part, with the second slide. What is a phrase? Can anyone tell me what is a phrase, even before we start? I need someone to volunteer. What is a phrase? Let me ask Faris Haytham. Mahmoud Raisawi, okay, Mahmoud Raisawi raised his hand. You can raise a hand, you have this option. Mahmoud, unmute yourself and tell me, what is a phrase? Yes, Mahmoud, I can hear you. What is the phrase?
A phrase is maybe a noun and a subject, and like a sentence without a verb.
A sentence without a verb or with a verb?
No, without.
Without a verb. So guys, Mahmoud suggests that a phrase is a sentence, that's what he said, without a verb. So it includes a noun and it includes a subject. Okay, if I go with your idea, Mahmoud, this means that this phrase will make sense, will be understandable?
No, it will not be.
It will not be understandable? Okay, thank you. Mute yourself. I need another hand. Omar Ghanim raised his hand. Omar Ghanim, you raised your hand. Do you have an answer? Yes, tell me. I hear you.
The phrase is the small simple sentence. The phrase is a small simple sentence.
A small simple sentence. So you can say that the phrase makes sense by its own. You mean
Yes.
if I write a phrase, it makes sense. I can understand it. Okay, thank you. Mute yourself. Guys, I'm not sure if you believe what your friend said correct or not, but what I believe that you will find the answer coming here. Let's see. A phrase is a group of words, but they are not complete thoughts. So again, they are a group of words. A group of words, but they are not complete thoughts. So the ideas you're gonna read are not complete. When you read them, you will not have a full meaning or a full understandable sentence. Phrases cannot stand alone because they are missing either a subject or a main verb. For example, this sentence down, the dog in the park walks to school. This is a complete sentence. It has a subject, it has a verb, and it makes sense. If you remove walks to school, the dog in the park, does it make sense? The dog in the park itself doesn't make sense. So I would appreciate that you just write the definition in your copybook. A phrase is a group of words, but they're not complete thoughts. A phrase is a group of words, but they're not complete thoughts. You can just write the first line to save your time. So a phrase is a group of words, but they are not complete thoughts. Phrases cannot stand alone because they are missing either a subject or a main verb. Thank you, Shakir. Now, for example, when you say the Mr. in red, sorry, yes, the Mr. in red. This is a phrase. It consists of the Mr., he's the subject, in red, that's a prepositional phrase. It's a preposition in and the adjective red. When I say the Mr. in red, I can't get the meaning. What do you want? Okay, the Mr. in red, I'm looking at the Mr. in red. What shall I do? What do I have to do? No information, like doesn't make sense. I would appreciate if um, Saba, I want Saba to unmute herself and give me a sample phrase. Can you?
Okay, the other is cool. Like we are going like we're making simple sentence or we're doing like
You will do a phrase.
can you I need
You will
like
do a phrase, which means you will make a group of words together that doesn't make a complete sentence and it doesn't make sense by its own. Like the one I said right now, the Mr. in red. This
like maybe like I wake up so I braid or like the dog in the bark like that like the example
like the
like
example, but give me a half
getting
sentence, which is a phrase, which is not a complete one.
not a complete okay
While Siba is thinking, I need also Yasmin to
yes
think, because Yasmin, you're going to unmute yourself now also and support.
okay. Like I parked my car and my car is broken or something like that.
Okay, I parked my car. I parked my car. This is not a phrase. This is a sentence, a complete. Why? Because I parked my car. I have a subject I, parked as a verb. My car is an object. That is a model perfect sentence, but not a phrase. You know what would be a phrase in this sentence? My car.
My car.
Only my car, because my car is a group of words. It doesn't have a subject, it doesn't have a verb, doesn't have anything, so it doesn't make sense. But it is part of another sentence. So my car by its own doesn't make sense, but when I join it to the original sentence, which is I parked, it makes difference. You got my point?
Yes.
Thank you, dear. Mute yourself. Yasmin, are you following me? I need Yasmin to suggest me another phrase, so we move to the second slide. Okay, Jasmine, you're online now. Tell me, give me a sample phrase.
The child was at home and walks to school.
Again.
The child was at home and walks to school.
Okay, is this a phrase or a complete sentence, my dear? How can you evaluate if it's a phrase or a complete sentence? By checking the parts of the sentence. In your sentence, you have a subject? Yes, you have a subject, the children or the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have the verb. What the verb do you have?
Yes. Walks.
Walks, see? So this sentence is very model. It's very perfect as a sentence, not as a phrase. You know what would be a phrase? A verbal phrase, walks to school. Walks to school itself is a phrase. Why? Because it's part of a sentence. It doesn't make sense by its own. It's part of a sentence. You got my point?
Okay.
Great, thank you, dear.
Yes.
Mute yourself. I'm going to the next slide. We introduced the phrase and now we understand it. Next, a close. What is a close? People who are raising hands, thank you, my dears. I will follow you, but just give me a while. In the second exercise, I might use you. A close is a group of words with a subject and verb. A close is a group of words with subject and verb. In other words, you can say that a close is nearly a sentence. And that is really important for you to understand that a close is nearly a sentence. How? It's only divided into two parts. And these two parts define how we work. They are defined into independent and dependent close. And I'm sure you have taken this before and you know this before. And we studied it, but not in that kind of detail. So we have two types of clauses. We have independent and we have dependent clauses. Independent clauses can stand alone as complete sentences. For example, like the dog is brown. The dog is brown, that's independent clause. When I say the Mr. King, Mr. Waleed came. Mr. Waleed came is an independent clause because you understand the meaning and you have the message delivered. You need nothing from anyone else. But when I say, when I saw him, when I saw him, what happened? Doesn't make sense. When I saw him, okay? That is a dependent clause. Now this turned to be a dependent clause. when I saw him turned to be a dependent. Why? Because it's incomplete. So let's read together and see. The independent clauses can stand alone as complete sentences, like the dog is brown. A dependent cannot stand alone as complete sentence. For example, although the dog is brown. So although the dog is brown here, it doesn't make sense, and you can't get and you can't understand. So Mr. Waleed, let me ask you a question. Malika, Malika says you can't understand. Okay, Malika, can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Morning, Miki, how are you? Tell me, Habibi, what part you don't understand, the phrase or the complex or the clause?
No, the close.
The clause, great. Okay, let me repeat again. A clause is a sentence. Good? But usually
Good.
clauses in English are divided into two parts, dependent and independent. The independent clause, it is when you make a sentence with a subject and verb and it's very complete and you can understand it easily. Like when I say, Malika came to school. Malika came to school,
Okay.
a normal independent clause. Why? It has a subject, a verb, and object, and you can understand when I say, you know what happened, right? Great.
Yes.
A dependent clause is the opposite. It's a sentence that has a subject and has a verb, but it doesn't make sense. For example, when I say, after Malika came to school, and I stopped talking. Do you understand anything?
No.
So you are waiting for me to clarify
Complete.
what happened after Malika came to school, correct?
Yes.
That's it. That's the difference. So usually, guys, to make a complex sentence, we usually link the two clauses together. We link a dependent and an independent clause together with a conjunction. For example, I can say, after Malika came to school, that is a dependent clause because it can't stand alone. After Malika came to school, she hit her brother. See what happened? Why you hit your brother? So after Malika came to school, she hit her brother. Now the sentence makes sense. Adam, Hatem, please stop messing with the chat box. I don't want to stop the chat box. I don't want to stop it. Make sure you adhere and listen and follow. Okay? I don't want to warn anyone again, please, because anyone will mess with the presentation. I'm going to kick him out. Everyone, do you understand this part? Complex sentences? I will ask now, Yassine, unmute yourself. And Abdurrahman Shakir, unmute yourself. And Faris Haytham, unmute yourself. I have three now to unmute Faris, Abdurrahman, and Yassine. This is going to be a buzzing question. Remember the buzzers? I missed them with you guys. Yassine, do you have a microphone?
Do I do it video?
Okay, Yassine says that he's going to answer by the keyboard. He's going to type the answer. I'm not sure what problem he has, but okay, Yassine, you can answer written. But this will make your chances to use the perfectly. I will say a sentence. After my clap, you have to tell me the answer. You will tell me if the sentence is dependent or independent. Deal? Ready?
Okay.
Okay, Abdurrahman, are you following?
Okay. Yes.
Yassine, you are following? Deal? Here we go. The sentence says, after my clap, you say dependent or independent. When I met my friends,
Independent.
Independent.
that was, who said it?
No, dependent.
Abdurrahman Shakir.
Dependent. Dependent.
Depend.
Enough, Abdurrahman Shakir said it first. You got the point. That is a dependent clause. That's right. Because usually dependent clauses are related with a. Okay, great. Finally, what is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words with a subject and verb that is complete thought. it can stand alone. So it is also called an independent clause. So as I explained earlier, that dependent and independent clause are just sentences, but the dependent clause is incomplete sentence. Now it is time for you to apply. Complex sentence review, that's what we have studied. A phrase, it's a group of words that are not complete thoughts and they cannot stand alone. A clause, a group of words with a subject and verb, and clauses can be either dependent or independent. A sentence is usually or nearly an independent clause, simply, because it has a verb and subject and everything is complete. How can I make a complex sentence?
Mr.
Yes?
Can you make the slide for, can you share the slide for the sentence?
Repeat it again.
Yes.
You don't need to confuse yourself with this because the sentence is nearly an independent clause.
Okay. Okay.
Got it? Okay. Moving forward, this is how I need to make a complex sentence. Look at this diagram, guys. A complex sentence usually includes either independent clause or a sentence because two are the same. There is no difference between independent and the sentence. So it consists of two parts, two sentences, as I explained earlier. Independent clause and a dependent clause or a sentence. For example, look at the samples here. Although the dog is brown, it is beautiful. Although the dog is brown, it is beautiful. Before, the compound sentences. That is a compound sentence, and we took them before. Usually compound sentences, the ones that are linked with the fanboys. And I guess you know the fanboys. It's not that something difficult. You know them. So a compound sentence that is linked with fanboys, like and, but, or, and so on. Simple sentence, the dog is brown. Compound, the dog is brown, but the cat is gray. Complex, although the dog is brown, it is beautiful. Usually a complex sentence, more critical how, Mr. Waleed? Because it deals with contradiction, like although. It deals with a result and the reason and the result, and so on. Thank you, Myrna. Myrna is writing me the fanboys. Thank you. Okay, Myrna, unmute yourself, my dear. Myrna, unmute yourself. You're gonna join me for this? Myrna, are you there? Judy raised her hand. Yes, Judy, unmute yourself. Tell me, how can I help?
Yes.
Yes, Judy, tell me.
For and not but or yet so.
Thank you, my dear. That is great. Okay, Judy, since you're unmuted now, help me a little bit. I have in front of you, or you have in front of you, a presentation of 3 sentences. Can you explain to your friends? Sentence number 1. Although the dog is brown, it is beautiful. This sentence, how many clauses does it have?
2.
2. Great. Which one is dependent? Which one is independent?
The independent is the first one, and the second one's the dependent.
The independent is?
The first one.
The first one. Although the dog is brown, this one is independent. So I can leave it alone. I can extract it and make it a standalone sentence, right?
No, I think they're both dependent.
Yeah, now that is a critical question, Mr. Waleed. Think wisely. Try to remove the sentence to explain it or to use it alone as a standalone one. Can I just say to you, although the dog is brown?
No.
No, so this one is dependent, right?
Yeah.
So the independent one is, it is beautiful. Because it makes sense. I can look at anything and tell you, oh, it is beautiful. It makes sense and you'll understand. But I can't look at you and say, although the dog is brown, you won't understand anything. Let's make another try for sentence number 2. Before she ate lunch in the park, she bought a coffee. Which one is dependent? Which one is independent? And I need Myrna. Log in, Myrna, and make yourself unmuted. So now, Judy, tell me about simple. Judy?
Oh, the independent is she bought a coffee
Great. And the dependent? Before she ate?
before she ate.
Great. Usually, I'm going to give you a hint to understand the difference between the dependent and independent. Usually, the dependent clause will have a conjunction, a linking word, transitional words that link them together. Okay? Great.
Mr. Waleed,
Yes, Ahmed. Sorry, yes, Faris.
usually the independent phrase is going in the second part of the sentence.
No, no, no. Usually, I'll tell you something. Sorry. Nothing in English is related to consistency. Consistency means that this has to be in this place all the time. I can switch. For example, I can say, she bought a coffee before she ate lunch. So there is no specific thing. There is no specific ordering for them. So don't take it that way. For example, the
Okay.
expression that we studied in class, I can say, if you study hard, you will succeed. I can replace that, say, you will succeed if you study hard. Myrna, now Myrna is online. Welcome. Where have you been? Have you been sleeping, girl?
What?
Have you been sleeping?
No, but my handy free wasn't working, so I just.
Never mind. Welcome back to us. Now look at third sentence, Myrna. After the girl walks to school, she will start studying. Now, this sentence, can you divide it, please, into dependent and independent?
After the girl walked to school, the independent. She will start studying dependent.
So the first one, after the girl walks to school, that's independent.
Mm.
Are you sure? So can you?
No, actually, they're
Huh?
the reverse.
The opposite. Yes, the opposite.
Oh.
You made the same mistake that Judy did at the beginning, that you got confused. So after, usually when the sentence or when the clause has a conjunction, this is a dependent sentence or dependent clause. Now let me tell you something. Faris Haytham, please go unmuted. You have a question or something? Unmute yourself.
Mister, can I say before she bought her coffee, she ate lunch in the park?
Before she bought a coffee, she ate lunch in the park. Yes, you can.
Mhm.
Yes, you can. But if you did this, now you are changing the dependent and independent clauses. They're gonna be the opposite.
I know.
You got it? Yeah, you can. In English, you're flexible to do whatever you need to make your sentence understandable and to make it more manageable. It's easy. It's nothing bad. Now let's go to the next slide. All of you unmute yourself. Sorry, mute yourself. Time is running, guys. We have 7 minutes only. Oh, that's very fast. What are subordinating conjunctions that we can use to make a dependent clause? Here are the samples. I would appreciate if you like take a screenshot in your mobiles or like capture them with your camera or anything. Or I'm like, let me see if I can send you them.
Mister, can you put it on LMS?
I'll put the presentation on LMS. Yes, I'll do. That is better. That's a better idea. It's okay. I'll put it. These are the conjunctions that we can use. Thank you, Faris. Faris took a screenshot. That was very fast. Thank you. Subordinating conjunctions. That is used for time. To express time. After, as soon as, before, since, until, when, whenever, while, and reason. Reasoning and condition. Because, since, as, if, whether. Place and location. Where, wherever, everywhere, anywhere. Contrast, although, even though, whereas, and while, and so on. Make sure you memorize them, please. Understand them very well. It is time for us to apply. Here, the coming presentations will be samples. There will be part of your homework is going to be self-study. You will self-study the coming presentations. From this presentation, complex sentence patterns, it discusses how the sentence will be punctuated and organized. You have to study this till the end. And you will have a quiz and question on them next session, which is Wednesday, inshallah. Okay? Now, time to exercise. Get ready. Please, guys, stop chatting together. I guess that is the final time and the last time I asked, or the last time I'll ask you. So I really don't want to fire anyone from the meeting right now. It's only 5 minutes, so let them pass easily. One by one in the group, I will ask the questions and you have to tell me. Write dependent clause under the dependent clause and independent under the independent. Circle the subordinate conjunction. I'm going to start with, let me see who's now in the group. I'll unmute one by one to answer. Okay, don't raise your hands. I'll unmute you one by one. Faris Ahmed, you're unmuted. Faris Ahmed, you will do number 2. Sarah could have done better on the assignment, although she did receive an A. Which one is dependent, which one is independent, and where is the conjunction?
Okay, the first one is dependent.
The first one, which is Sarah could have done better on the assignment,
Yes,
that is dependent.
yes.
Are you sure? What is the meaning of dependent? Dependent, that it can't stand alone, right?
Yes.
Okay, can I say this sentence alone?
No.
I can't say Sarah could have done better on the assignment?
Yes.
I can. I
Okay.
can. This is a normal. I told you earlier, usually the one with the conjunction is the one that is dependent. It needs help. For example, if you put your hand on the screen and covered Sarah could have done better on the assignment. Read now the sentence after although. Although she did receive an A. Although she did receive an A. This is incomplete. Who is she? And receive A for what? So the second sentence is that dependent clause. The first sentence is independent.
Okay.
Okay? And even the first sentence by itself, the first clause, it makes sense. Sarah could have done better in the exam, so she could have studied better. It makes sense. Thank you, guys. I'm going to unmute Abdurrahman, no, Abdurrahman answered once. Nada. I'm going to use people who didn't answer before. Nada, because she didn't say mother, who's that?
I don't know. Mister, because she didn't say it's dependent. It's dependent.
Because she didn't say this is the dependent.
Yes, and she had to start over.
It can't stand alone. Right, great.
Yes.
And the second one is?